So anything you put on your website, everyone's going to see and is going to be considered advertising to the extent you put something in there. So if you're looking to raise money from friends and family and people who don't have a high net worth, then you're probably going to look at 506B because they do allow you to take a limited number of non-accrediteds. But then the flip side is that you cannot advertise under a 506B. Other people are really good at advertising and marketing, so they go the 506C route, but then they're limited to only accredited investors.
Okay, absolutely. And that's obviously very important based on either how much experience you've had or if you're coming into it with connections, etc. Right? As I guess that's what we're going at. Because I specifically saw you post this and I thought it was very interesting about how stay off of social media. And and that was I saw that was a very notable post. And I think that's interesting because it's the complete opposite of what we're being told, but you have to be very careful from a regulation perspective is what you're saying for the 506B.
Yeah, I mean, people, for some reason, I think people just forget that, you know, Facebook and all these social medias, LinkedIn, they're all just like your website, by the way. Your website's public. Your website is being blasted to the world.
Yeah.
And so anything you put on your website, everyone's going to see and is going to be considered advertising to the extent you put something in there. And so I don't know if it's just people don't think about it, or I think what it really is that people, I think most people understand you can't post about your particular deal on social media. I can't say, hey, I've got a 100-unit apartment building that I'm raising $1 million for. But you also can't what's called condition the market, which means I can't drum up interest for my deal. So even if I indirectly kind of insinuate that I have a deal, but I don't specifically talk about my deal, that's also prohibited. And I think that's where people get a little bit caught up because they clearly are posting things that reference either directly or indirectly. It's clear that they're raising money and they're indirectly looking for people to call them and pick up the phone and call them and express interest about their offering. And that's where we'd be in violation of those advertising rules.
Yeah. So it's funny that you say that because I'm sure, okay, you're being in this space too. And now obviously we know the marketing is everything and brand awareness. I mean, you're doing a great job of it. So I just came back from, let's say, Growth Con, right? Like a Grant Cardone who is obviously working with accredited investors. And we're not putting anybody on blast or anything like that. But I think it's a good example because we know who he is. How does he separate the two? Because I believe he even had a tier, I believe Regulation A tier 2 fund as well. So how does he do that?
That's right. That's why I said, you know, it's not 100% of it is Reg D. So Grant, there is a way to have your cake and eat it too. There's a way for you to advertise, which is what Grant does, and also accept non-accredited investors with some restrictions. And that's called like you mentioned, a Regulation A, a Reg-A. We actually call it a Reg-A plus, but it's basically a tier 1 Reg-A. And that does allow you to advertise and then take non-accredited. The challenge is it requires a mini registration with the SEC.